What's up everyone, it's Franken's TCG, and I haven't done one of these like weird phone injury kind of deck techs in a while. And we're just going to run through quickly some changes I made to the Merfolk deck. Now technically this is and isn't sponsored by Wizards, and I realize that is going to sound a little pokey and weird. But basically I managed to get into, how would I want to say this? I basically managed to get into an event with my friends to play some Magic and hang out with old buddy Gavin Verhey that I haven't seen in a while because of pandemic, etc. Yeah, we basically got some decks for free, well, got a deck each for free, played some Magic, and it was very fun, and maybe I drank too much. Okay, so the Merfolk deck is pretty simple. The thing right out of the box, and let me just go and grab the commander, Hakbal. This is not the commander you get that is in the box. I've replaced some of the cards with prettier versions just because I wanted to. So Hakbal, yeah, as you can see here, is amazing. So the text is, at the beginning of combat on your turn, each Merfolk creature you control explores. Now that in itself is pretty big, right? So if each one of your Merfolk that is just sitting on your bench, just waiting to smack somebody in the face, maybe they just came here to play, there to explore, they're going to get bigger, and they're going to get real big real quick. Whenever Hakbal of the Surging Soul attacks, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield if you don't draw a card. So even if you end up just maybe putting extra lands into play or whatever it might be, if you don't, you draw cards. So card draw, +1/+1 counters landfall. I didn't really want to focus on the landfall part of this. I just wanted to explore the +1/+1 counters, the creature combat, all that kind of fun stuff. Straight out of the box, this deck is very powerful like most modern decks. However, it has one very glaring, horrible weakness: interaction. It doesn't have enough interaction in the deck. Even with my upgrades, it probably still doesn't. And my upgrades are a little bit off because you'll see in the land section that I still need to upgrade my land base a little bit more. I just haven't kind of gotten there yet. I've not been able to find my breeding pools. I don't know where they've gone. I don't know what deck they're in or why they're not in here, but they're certainly not in here, and I don't remember having another blue-green deck around that breeding pools would be in. Disappointing to say the least. That's fine. So, let's just put Hakbal over here. Things that I took out of the deck. Well, the first one was, and I'm just not going to do this in any particular order, but Prime Speaker Zagana is great for +1/+1 counters, but it's a bit expensive for what we want. Sage of Fables, well, look, the Lord part working only for Wizards. We don't need more card draw, so we don't really have enough Wizards really that I've looked at that we care about in a Merfolk deck. Took out 2 islands and a forest, we'll explain those. Took out the Temple of the False God because, again, if we're not trying to ramp into big creatures, do we really need it? The same with the land package assisters of Kadama's Reach, Explore, and Growth Spiral. All solid cards, but just kind of not really for this deck. They're not things that we really actually need. A 3 mana rock in this deck just seems kind of dumb because most of your Merfolk are 2 or 3 cost anyway, so you kind of want to cap your mana rocks at about the cost 2 stage, not the cost 3 stage. Let's just clean these up a little bit. Okay, great. Put those up there. Commit to Memory just seemed like a bit of a weakie in the deck. There was just no point in having it. Provides only a slight bit of interaction that we could actually just get out of something like a counterspell or a disdain or something like that, so that gets cut. Thassa comes online too late to really do anything and costs too much to really make something unblockable. Sure, you can do a big beef eater into like an 8/8 merfolk and smack somebody in the face, that's fine, but you've got other ways to do it anyway. There's plenty of cards in Commander that cost less to do this. You could use Key to the City, which I've been very tempted at putting into this deck, but at this point Thassa? Yes, Thassa. Thassa just doesn't seem like the card to play here. Alright, so cool replacements, and remember, we want to look at things that either assist the deck, things that move our game plan forward, or provide some interaction. This is almost an auto include, if not definitely an auto include. So with your Cavern of Souls, oh, that's in here as well, don't worry. With your Cauldron of Souls, you are able to give all your stuff persist. So if somebody wipes the board, that's fine. Your creatures are going to come back anyway. So that's a really good addition to just keep your massive fighters in the game rather than letting them go to waste. Twists and turns. This actually assists with the explore package because you get to scry before you explore, and also it forces one of your creatures to explore, which is great. It's such a low cost. That basically means that every time you go to explore, you can scry the perfect card, hopefully on top. Not every time, but you know, it's going to be pretty good. Once it transforms over into Mycoid Maze, it's going to have a 4 cost, technically a 5 if you count the land has to tap, so 5 costs to go and look through the top couple of cards and find yourself a merfolk to play. Top 4 is fine in this deck. We're running a lot of creatures, by the way. Alright, next one up. This is just kind of really obvious and is not actually in the precon, which I don't know why it's not in the precon, but sure. So this here is Deeproot Pilgrimage, and whenever one of your non-token, very specific non-token merfolks tap for any reason, then you create a merfolk token. So 2 tap, you only get 1 token, but it's all separate instances. So if 1 taps, you get a token. Then later on, if another taps for whatever reason, you get a token. If another taps, you get another token. Becomes very, very relevant. We have added the package for some interaction with board wipes and stuff. So we have Counterspell, of course. And because most board wipes are going to be expensive, we have Disdainful Stroke. I'm having a stroke right now. When we have a look at getting stuff from the maybe top of our library or trying to get more creatures, we have the good old flashback for the Ancestors. This is very good, not just because, you know, it's going to cost us 3 to look through the top 6 cards, but also the fact that it has flashback. So that can be very, very relevant. Next up, we have a Tishana's Tidebender. This is Flash, of course. It's such a pretty card. And again, don't know why the base card wasn't included in the precon. I guess maybe to make us try and buy standard sets would make sense. But basically what this happens to be is when it enters the battlefield, counter up to one target activated or triggered ability. If an ability of an artifact, creature, or planeswalker is countered this way, that permanent loses all abilities for as long as Tishana's Tidebender remains on the battlefield. That's what makes this so very good, especially in this deck. I love shutting things down and keeping them shut down. So as long as this is on the battlefield, you're going to shut something down forever. Next one, we have more Flash. This is a Flash Lord, because Lords are great. This is the Vidalcan Hex Catcher, and if you've never seen this before, basically it is not just, you know, your Merfolk get a +1/+1, but also sacrifice a Merfolk, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. doesn't have to be non-token, which makes that very special and very cool. We of course have True Name Nemesis because, I mean, it's True Name Nemesis. You aren't getting that off the board easy. I'm going to stack counters on it thanks to Hakbal, and I'm going to smash one person in the face that really annoys me. That one person, that one specific person, Dale. That one person. He knows what he did wrong. Some land inclusions that I chucked into this just because, and this really is just because, and I'm just going to slop the rest of the deck down so I don't fudge it up. We chucked in Cephalid Colosseum just because of the extra card draw, basically. That's the only reason why it's in here. Cavern of Souls, because I previously didn't own one, so I decided to open a collector box of this set so I could get one, and managed to luck into it, which is hilarious. But this is just basically against those horrible decks you run into that have too much interaction, like too much counter spells. Like, I get to still play my Merfolk. I don't have a way to search this land out. It's just in here. So, I don't know. Maybe in the future I will try and figure out something to really just, like Sylvan Scrying or whatever. I think it's Sylvan Scrying. But we'll deal with that later. And of course, just a mana fixer. And again, I haven't been able to find the lands for this deck. I don't know where I've put those lands, so we'll get there eventually. What other upgrades did I make to this? Well, I mean, other than just putting in some more sexy things, just to make things look sexy, like our Swiftfoot boots extended, because I think everyone knows that I do like pretty cards, but if a pretty card can be sold and I can buy a cheaper version of that pretty card and then buy other cards that I need for a deck, I'm gonna do it. Of course, Command Tower, I put in the foil version of the Refuge, a pretty version of Myriad Landscape, non-foil, I know. The extended Soul Ring was nice. And again, it's just because I like chucking in stuff that looks a little bit better. Bygone in the extended art. The promo Reliquary Tower. It's just like weird, not really upgrades, just replacements. The Snull in extended art. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just chucked in some like extra pieces that just look a little bit shinier. Oh yeah, that's right, and the hardened scales, of course. Yeah. Pretty Path of Ancestry. And of course, the Kanzel in the showcase foil. At the end of the day, what do I think about this deck? Out of the box, it was pleasing. It was fun. It was good. It was solid. I was surprised at the sheer amount of playability in the deck. The fact that it comes out of the box and has multiple win conditions and feels good to play is, I'd like to say refreshing, but that's kind of how decks are these days with Commander. Most of them are pretty good out of the box, just need a couple of slight upgrades really to run with big boys, depending on what your play group is like. I think that out of the box it's probably a good solid 5 or 6 on the Commander rating if you want to use that. It's definitely not a, a 9 or a 10 obviously. You could probably make it a 9 or 10 pretty easily. I probably wouldn't. I think that it's a deck that is best situated for some fun, and I had a lot of fun playing it, and I had a lot of fun upgrading it, and I'm looking forward to actually playing Hakbal again. Again, the Commander at 4 cost is just ridiculously powerful, and a lot of people will argue, oh, well, it's not that powerful. It's like, yeah, once you face down Hakbal and 3 or 4 other Merfolk, you'll realize just how powerful this deck is. Once you realize how many Merfolk and Shapeshifter Lords are out there, and start getting those in there as well, you will go, oh no, I was wrong. This deck is going to punch me in the face, and it's going to punch me pretty hard. So it's one of those things. There's, again, other ways to make it more unblockable. There's more interaction that could go in here, but this was just my quick, nasty upgrades so that I could play it on MTG Lexicon on the weekend. And people were pretty impressed with how fast it started racking up counters. And again, you can see like the amount of actual upgrades that I put in this deck that are actual upgrades, not just like, you know, a little bit of mana fixing that doesn't matter, or the Cephalid Colosseum. We're talking legitimate upgrades, was like, what, 4 cards? So this is well under my, you know, 10 cards in, 10 cards out rule, I think. Maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, well, 12 cards, but how many of those were actually functioning, like high functioning cards? Definitely under 10, right? So I would suggest that you try this deck out if you can, because I think you're going to have a lot of fun. I have been Franken's TCG. Thanks for hanging out.